Every morning, millions of people rush out the door without eating a single bite, convinced they're saving time, losing weight, or simply not hungry enough to care. But what if your body has been quietly keeping score all along, and the bill is about to come due? When you skip breakfast once or twice, your body treats it like a minor inconvenience. It taps into stored energy, adjusts a few hormones, and carries on. But when you turn breakfast skipping into a lifestyle, stretching across months and years, something fundamentally different begins to happen inside you. Your body stops treating this as a temporary problem and starts adapting to what it perceives as a permanent threat. The moment you wake up, your body is already in motion. Your cortisol levels naturally peak in the early morning, preparing you for the day ahead. This hormone surge is designed to mobilize energy, sharpen focus, and get you moving. Under normal circumstances, eating breakfast signals to your body that resources are available, that the world is safe, and that it can invest energy into growth, repair, and proper metabolic function. When you skip breakfast repeatedly, you're essentially telling your body a different story. You're saying that food is scarce, unpredictable, and that it needs to prepare for prolonged periods without fuel. Your liver becomes the first responder in this daily crisis. Throughout the night, it's been working to maintain your blood sugar levels by releasing stored glucose. By morning, those reserves are running low. When breakfast doesn't arrive, your liver has to keep producing glucose from whatever it can find, breaking down proteins and fats in a process that's meant for emergencies, not everyday life. Over months and years, this constant demand rewires how your liver handles energy. It becomes less sensitive to the normal signals that regulate blood sugar, setting the stage for insulin resistance. Meanwhile, your pancreas is caught in an increasingly difficult situation. Without the regular rhythm of morning food, it starts losing its calibration. When you finally do eat later in the day, your insulin response can become either sluggish or excessive, neither of which serves you well. This erratic pattern, repeated over years, wears down the delicate machinery that keeps your blood sugar stable. Your cells gradually become less responsive to insulin, requiring more and more of it to do the same job they once did effortlessly. The hunger hormones in your body tell an equally revealing story. Ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry, should follow a predictable pattern throughout the day. When you consistently ignore morning hunger or train yourself not to feel it, ghrelin's rhythms become disrupted. Some people find that after years of skipping breakfast, they genuinely don't feel hungry in the morning anymore. This isn't a sign that their body has adapted successfully. It's a sign that the communication system between gut and brain has been fundamentally altered. The absence of hunger doesn't mean the absence of need. Your stress response system, the same one that would save your life if you encountered actual danger, gets recruited into managing your daily energy crisis. Cortisol stays elevated longer than it should. Adrenaline kicks in to help mobilize energy stores, designed for short-term survival, not for maintaining your energy through a typical Tuesday morning at work. When stress hormones become your primary breakfast substitute, year after year, they begin to reshape your entire metabolic landscape. The effects ripple outward into unexpected territories. Your thyroid, the master regulator of your metabolic rate, starts to dial things down. From your body's perspective, if food is consistently scarce in the morning, it makes sense to conserve energy by lowering the metabolic thermostat. You might notice you feel colder than you used to. You might find that you're exhausted by early afternoon. Your body isn't being lazy. It's being efficient in the face of what it perceives as chronic scarcity. Fat storage patterns shift in ways that might surprise you. Many people skip breakfast specifically to lose weight. assuming that fewer eating hours means less stored fat. But your body doesn't think in terms of calories and weight loss goals. It thinks in terms of survival and adaptation. When you regularly deprive it of morning fuel, it becomes increasingly efficient at storing whatever you do eat later in the day. The fat tends to accumulate around your midsection, the type of visceral fat that wraps around your organs and drives inflammation throughout your body. Your muscles face their own quiet struggle. In the absence of incoming protein and energy from breakfast, your body doesn't simply wait patiently for lunch. It begins breaking down muscle tissue to create the glucose your brain desperately needs. A little bit each morning might seem trivial, but across months and years, this adds up. You're slowly cannibalizing your own muscle mass, the very tissue that keeps your metabolism robust and your body strong as you age. The impact on your brain deserves particular attention. Your brain runs almost exclusively on glucose, consuming roughly 20% of your total energy, despite representing only 2% of your body weight. When glucose isn't readily available from food, your brain can use ketones produced from fat breakdown. But this transition isn't seamless, especially when it happens every single morning. The mental fog, difficulty concentrating, and irritability that many breakfast skippers experience aren't signs of weakness. They're signs that the brain is operating on backup power instead of optimal fuel. Over years, the relationship between skipping breakfast and cognitive function becomes more concerning. The hippocampus, the brain region crucial for memory formation and learning, appears particularly vulnerable to irregular fuel supply. The oxidative stress that accumulates from chronic metabolic adaptation can accelerate the normal aging process of brain cells. You're not just affecting how you feel today. You're potentially influencing how your brain functions decades from now. Your gut microbiome, that vast ecosystem of bacteria living in your intestines, operates on circadian rhythms just like the rest of your body. These microbes expect food at relatively consistent times. When you skip breakfast for years, the composition of your gut bacteria shifts. Species that thrive during fasting periods become more dominant, while others diminish. This might sound neutral, but these bacterial populations influence everything from inflammation levels to mood regulation to immune function. You're not just changing when you eat. You're changing who lives inside you. The cardiovascular system eventually enters the picture. Chronic breakfast skipping has been connected to increased blood pressure, higher levels of inflammatory markers, and changes in how blood vessels respond to stress. Your arteries become less flexible. Your heart has to work harder to pump blood through a system that's been subtly reshaped by years of metabolic stress. The connection isn't immediate or obvious, which makes it easy to dismiss, but the slow accumulation of damage is relentless. Perhaps most insidious is how breakfast skipping affects your relationship with food itself. When you consistently arrive at your first meal of the day in a depleted state, you're more likely to overeat, to choose highly palatable processed foods, and to eat quickly without awareness. Your decision-making around food becomes driven by emergency hunger signals rather than genuine nourishment. This pattern, reinforced daily over years, can fundamentally alter your ability to eat intuitively and recognize true satiety. Some people maintain that intermittent fasting, which often involves skipping breakfast, offers health benefits. And there is truth to the fact that occasional fasting can trigger beneficial adaptive responses. But there's a crucial difference between strategically timed eating windows, done with awareness and adequate nutrition, versus chronically skipping breakfast out of convenience, while remaining in a state of metabolic stress throughout the day. The former is a deliberate practice with recovery periods. The latter is an ongoing siege that never allows your body to fully recalibrate. Your hormonal balance, especially if you're a woman, faces unique challenges. The female reproductive system is exquisitely sensitive to energy availability. Chronic breakfast skipping can signal to the body that conditions aren't favorable for reproduction, leading to irregular cycles, reduced fertility, and changes in estrogen and progesterone production. For men, testosterone production can similarly be suppressed when the body perceives chronic energy stress. The adaptation process your body undergoes isn't actually the problem. Adaptation is what keeps you alive. The problem is that your body is adapting to circumstances that don't actually exist. You're not living through a famine. Food is available. But your daily habits are triggering ancient survival mechanisms designed for genuine scarcity. And those mechanisms carry costs when activated continuously without true need. What makes this entire process particularly challenging is that the changes happen gradually. You don't wake up one morning after 5 years of skipping breakfast with suddenly dysfunctional metabolism. Instead, your body competently manages the stress you're placing on it, compensating and adapting, until one day you notice you can't lose weight despite eating less, or your energy never quite recovers, or your blood work reveals problems that seem to have appeared out of nowhere. The human body is remarkably resilient, capable of functioning under tremendous strain for extended periods. But resilience and thriving are not the same thing. When you skip breakfast for years, you're not proving how disciplined or efficient you are. You're conducting an experiment on your own biology, one where your body is quietly rewriting its operating manual in ways you never consciously agreed to. Adaptations that may echo through your health long after you decide that maybe breakfast wasn't so optional after all.